We are going to look at our notes today. I want you to start off, if you will, page 33 in your Bibles, in the chronological Bible. Today is our quick day, if you will, that they will have lunch here, and so we want to make sure we get out of here early. So the last 2 weeks, I feel like I've almost gone to the end of the chapter, but then ran out of time. And so what I want to do is kind of go back and just make sure we've got the story. The goal, I know it doesn't always seem like this, but the goal of the teaching for me always is to first know what the story says. What is this story? What is happening? What is happening in the story? And then the next thing would be, what did it mean to these people, the impact that it has on the generations to come? How is this impacting the story? And then lastly, how does this story impact us? Okay, so the first thing we're going to do is get the story here. So to do that, I think I need to back up just a little bit and go to Genesis 23 and see that Sarah dies. In fact, we're really at the end of, we're going to be Genesis 10:19. It's at the top of page. Oh, let's see. Let's do this. That's not right. Sorry, Genesis 23. Yeah, okay. Yeah, that's right. It's page 32 is where I'm confusing myself. Page 32 at the top, left-hand side. If you're in your regular Bible, it's going to be Genesis 10:19. So Abraham dies, and Abraham buries his wife Sarah there in Canaan, in this cave of Machpelah, near Mamre, also called Hebron. So the field and the cave were transferred from the Hittites to Abraham for use as a permanent burial place. So now we're at the story where Abraham is still alive. Of course, he buys this place. He is in this land that God is going to give them, but they know they do not have it yet. He's lived his life trying to fulfill the place where the promises of God, even though he's old, and now he has this wife who has died, and we talked about sometimes God's greatest gifts and fulfillment of his promises sometimes come through the really, really hard and painful times of our life. So that's what's happened here. We come down to Genesis 24, where Isaac marries Rebekah. And we came to, and I want to go to the bottom of that page. It's going to be 24:26. It's at the bottom of page 32, at the very end of that page. This is going to be Genesis 24:26. This is when the slave has gone to find Rebekah for Isaac, because now you have Abraham, Isaac, and you know that these descendants are all going to come. You've had such a fuss over where is this child of promise, and then will you give him up, and all these things, and now here he is, and now there's no wife, and so the descendants are still, the story is still not completed, and it will not be completed until Christ comes again. But at this point, they're still waiting for these descendants. And so it says that the servant bowed low and worshiped the Lord, and he said, "Praise the Lord, the God of my master Abraham. The Lord has shown unfailing love and faithfulness to my master, for he has led me straight to my master's relatives." In other words, in this search, the Lord has been faithful to do what he wants to do. And that's what he is fulfilling a story. And unless we get this, we will miss what's going on here, because it is going to be the fulfillment of the Abrahamic covenant where God said, "I'm going to give you this land, and I'm going to give you descendants. And in you, all the nations will be blessed." And even if you go back from that to the covenant of Adam, where the Lord says, "I am going to bring one that is going," speaking to Satan, he says, "I'm going to bring one that is going to crush your head. It's going to be the seed of woman." So these are covenants that God is going to make sure they happen. And God, we look at this and we say, how could a God make a promise back here in Genesis that there's going to be the seed of a woman? That woman is going to be who? Who's going to have Jesus? Mary. This woman, there's going to be a seed of a woman. Why not the seed of a man? Because there was no man. She was a virgin. So the seed of a woman This one is going to come, and he is going to crush your head, Satan. And in the meantime, he brings up these patriarchs to whom they're going to believe God. Abraham is going to believe God, and it's going to count to him as righteousness. So then you're going to have these patriarchs. The story shifts to where you start seeing this lineage, and he says, Abraham, in you, all the nations are going to be blessed. Once again, it's following a path. That's why you have the genealogies. Even in Matthew, they pick up the genealogies to show this is how it came. This is according to those covenants. This is according to the will of the Lord. How could God make a promise in the very beginning that this is going to happen? And then we see thousands and thousands and thousands of years later where we have, we're all in heaven and it all went just as he said. How does a God make a promise like that unless God can control those things, right? But otherwise, you see all of these squirrely behaviors. You see all the people that you think, okay, good, this person's going to do right so that God can fulfill why he's called them. But the word makes it very clear. God continually puts in their weaknesses in here. And I think the weaknesses are part of the grand story. It's not because of the greatness of man. It is because of the frailty of man and an enormous God who impacts us. And so that this God, we want him to be magnified, and for Satan not to come to us and say, you're not enough, because we can answer that and say, I am not enough. God does not call me to be enough. He calls me to have faith that he is enough. I've told this story twice in here. I heard it again this week. I have to repeat it again. Tara Lee Cobble, who does the Bible recap, a man encouraged her to read through the Bible for the first time. So a year and a half later, she comes back to the man and she says, okay, I've read the whole Bible. And he said, what do you think? And she said, I'm just going to be really honest with you. And she said, I read it all. It's a fascinating story, but I don't really like this God. I don't like the way he does things. I don't like some of the things he tells them to do. It's like, I don't really like him. And it's so troubling. And he said, okay, I want you to do one more thing. I want you to go back and read it again. And this time, don't make you the center of the story. The story is about God. Use the scriptures to come toward God. Who are you? Instead of, I'm going to read this and see, I don't think you should have done that. Nope, don't like that. Do you see who the center is? We are the ones, and we are then judging God for what he's doing instead of bowing low and saying, it's your story. I want to know you. And I want to know you in your fullness. And I don't want to make the rules and then say, you have transgressed them, Lord. But to say, Lord, you make the rules, and I am the transgressor. I am the poor in spirit. You are a mighty God. And when we can get that right and know that he is in control, he is sovereign, and he loves us, even though we are very weak. He is very strong, and he is lovingly coming toward us. And we do have an enemy that messes around with our heads. But in this case of Tara Lee Cobble, she went back and he said, read it again and make it about him. The word is for you. This is the great line. The word is for you. It's not about you. The word is for us to learn and to take those promises and apply them to our lives. But the story is God's. And we need to bow our knees to say, Lord, you are bigger than I. And you're better than I. And you're long-suffering. You are tender toward me, tender toward us. And that he is a powerful God who is worth our worship. Okay? So here we are. So we have this. So we now have of the story that is going to continue. We have this Abraham, and he says, in you, these descendants are going to come. So he's going to have this son, Isaac. Isaac is going to marry now, and then marry Rebekah. And then that's how far the descendants have come as far as purchasing the land. He has one little plot of land that he's bought, and that was from when Sarah died. It's little bitty steps even here at the end of his life. Okay, so let's go to page 34. And is Genesis 25 that we will be studying today. Once again, I want you to remember that all these seeds, all these nations will be blessed because it will lead to Jesus. This is the lineage that is going to come. That's why in the New Testament they even say, you are the God, the Father of Abraham, Isaac, Jacob. I'm calling on this God. And this is the fulfillment. All the nations will be blessed through Abraham. All the nations, because Jesus is going to be in that lineage. And when he goes to the cross, every wall of division has come down, and that he is saying that he's come to save the world. Okay, so that's it. Through Abraham, the nations will be blessed because Jesus is in that lineage. And he is the one that the seed that was spoken of in Genesis. Okay, so this 25 starts, and I don't know if y'all read it, but 25:1, you read it, go, what? What? Who is this? Abraham married another wife. It's like, no, we want you devoted to Sarah. You were mourning, you bought your land, you were doing really well. What are you doing? How long did you wait before you married this woman? And we find out later she was actually a concubine. And it's just like, no, y'all are just, you're messing with my story. You see it? And that's when we're like, no, Lord, this is your story that you put in here for us. And that we want to say, okay, Moses had another wife. And we can still, what is that? What'd you say? No.
Just a man.
He's just a man, is what you said. He's just a man. There you go. Okay. So Abraham married another wife whose name was Keturah. She gave birth to all these people. And I thought it was interesting. Do you see one of them is Sheba? Because all these people become nations. All these people, like Abraham, you talking about the father. I mean, it's like, that's why you have all these holy places in Jerusalem, that you've got all these different religions all coming to the same place to worship because Abraham was their father. But the scriptures only take it through this covenant. They only take the scriptures that God has put in here for the Christian Bible for us who believe in Jesus Christ is this lineage leads to Christ. And I think we can see that. But Sheba was a country that was founded. And remember the queen, later on years, there's a queen of Sheba, and she comes to Solomon. The queen, have you ever heard the term like, who do you think you are, the queen of Sheba? Yeah, okay, that Keturah is her mother. I mean, that's not Sheba's mother, but that is that land that they had. Keturah is the woman who had the son named Sheba that ended up being named for that nation. Okay, the nation was named for him. Okay, look down in your chronological Bible. Then they put something in there from First Chronicles, and what they're doing, the chronological Bible is putting this in here from Chronicles because we believe that probably Ezra wrote Chronicles, and all he's doing is just like if you said, well, how many of you are from Humboldt? Well, not as many as Rosemary and Leslie of today. Most of the time there's more. But you had a newspaper. Do you still have the same newspaper? What's it called? Chronicle. Curious. We used to call it the Curious Chronicles. What we grew up calling it. Yeah, and so, but it's saying this is we're chronicling. That didn't go well. The things that are happening, and so the First and Second Chronicles look so much like First and Second Kings because it's historically what happened. And in Chronicles, it tells about Keturah, and then it says Abraham's concubine. So that's what the scriptures say in Chronicles. And so we know that this is some woman that he had, and they did have concubines during that day. So that's all I know that's all we know. But this is the woman that he does marry, and he has all these descendants. And so it says, go back to Genesis 25:5. Abraham gave everything he owned to his son Isaac. But before he died, he gave gifts to the sons of his concubines and sent them off to a land in the east away from Isaac. So he's still caring for them like he cared for Ishmael, and he cared for Hagar. But he sent, in the history that we can see, is he sends them away with gifts, but he realizes that the promised one that was promised him, that from this covenant of God, that in you these nations will be blessed and you will have these descendants. It is going to come through Abraham and then Isaac. And so he's going to keep Isaac here, separate the others, give them gifts, and the story that we will follow will be of this promised lineage. Okay, so then this is 25:12. This is the account of the family of Ishmael, the son of Abraham through Hagar. Don't you know, Abraham, if he were sitting in here with all these women right now, he'd be like this, like, I know. I mean, y'all are, there's a lot of people. And it says all their names. So through Ishmael, he had 12 sons. The 12 sons of Ishmael. So again, we have the 12 tribes of Israel. And it's 12 tribes of Israel because you have Abraham, Isaac, and then you're going to have these two sons. And one of them is going to be named Jacob. And Jacob's name later on is going to be changed to Israel. So his descendants, instead of Jacobites, because his name was changed, are going to be Israelites. Okay, so this is how you have this lineage that's going to come. It's going to be these chosen people that are going to be different. They're going to be called out. They're going to be called to go eat differently, follow differently. They're going to have promises given to them. And the whole thing is going to culminate all the way as the story goes. So we're looking at a people, and yet in the middle of this, he's showing how all these other people are a part of this, but the main line is going to come through Abraham and Isaac and then Jacob. Okay, so here we are. I want you to go down, if you will, to let's see. You have these 12 sons of Ishmael, and those are the Arab people. You go down to 25:19. This is the account of the family of Isaac, the son of Abraham. When Isaac was 40 years old, he married Rebekah. And that was the story we learned last week before he's coming to go get this wife, the daughter of Bethuel. Go down to 21. Isaac pleaded with the Lord on behalf of his wife because she was unable to have children. So interesting to me that so much of this is the promise of these descendants, and so the problem is, yes, we could have a lot of descendants, but we have this woman who is barren. And so, I mean, once again, it's going to be something that these things are not going to come easily. I have found in my life, and I'm sure that you have too, that it seems like wherever those strengths are, Satan is going to put major weaknesses with it, because he's trying to thwart the will of God. And so we want to lean into those things and to conquer those things that are keeping us from serving in a pure way. That Satan wants us to come against and blaspheme and take that which is holy and make it profane. I think if you think back, I believe it's across the board enough that some of you can at least do this. It's like you were doing wrong. You knew you were doing wrong. I was doing wrong. No, I only know that you think like this because of me, right? So we're not going to, it's easier just to make it you. It's me also, but for the story, let's make it you for a second. Okay, you're going along, you're doing, you know you're not doing what you're supposed to be doing. You already know that. But then it gets a little bit deeper than you really meant to go, and it's like, oh, now I'm in a mess. And at some point you're just like, this is beyond me. I really need to cry out to the Lord. And yet I don't know that I want to cry out to the Lord because I have found a comfortable place here. It's so complex. Sin is so complex. And at some point you will find yourself doing things that you thought you would not do that. And it's like, it's not that it's worse, it is that it is directly against God. It may be in the place or the person or something, but it's like the unholy comes against the holy. The profane comes against that which is holy. And so often you will see really holy places being defiled. We are the holy places that have been defiled. And yet it is a God who is saying all the way through, yes, this is gonna be a hard place. This is not something that's going to be easy. And what are we going to do in those places? But that we're gonna say, Lord, I want to stay with the holy. Let me choose the holy. Let me be set apart for your purposes. And when it doesn't work out, that we will still say, Lord, this is not the end of the story if I'm still alive. And that you are wanting to restore this holiness to me. That we would pray, Lord, I want your holiness. I want to be set apart for you. I want to be co-conspirator with Satan to come against that holiness of God. That's the real battle. It feels like it's with us, but it is truly to put sand in the face of God. That's why I think, that you have in Job, he says, have you seen Job? He's a righteous man, and he said, he doesn't really love you. If you take things away, he'll curse you. I mean, it's not, Job got in the middle of that, but it's truly about good and evil. And so here we have this goodness. It's like, what is Isaac going to do? Is he going to his concubine? Is he like his father had done? But yet we see that Isaac prays and says, Lord, this is something you've said. It's on you to do this. And that he would wait on that and not go to a profane place to accomplish what even may seem like you're going for a holy end of something. Okay, so here we are. And so Isaac pleads, verse 21, Isaac pleaded with the Lord on behalf of his wife because she was unable to have children. The Lord answered Isaac's prayer, and Rebekah became pregnant with twins. Okay, we know now when the story was written, these twins had already been born. Okay, but she's been told, but the two children struggled with each other in her womb. So she went to the Lord and asked about it. Why is this happening to me? She can tell something, this is long before sonograms and things like that. What is going on? Why is this happening? She goes to the Lord, and that's where we want our response to be. Lord, why is this happening? Why is this happening? Why is this happening? We have Daniel who goes to him and says, why is this happening? Lord, I know that you are the one who you can reveal mysteries. You can teach these things. You can lead me. You can show me things that I would not know otherwise because of you. And so she says, why is this happening to me? And the Lord told her, the sons in your womb, okay, that's already news. Okay, that's a reveal. Got it? They're two boys. And they're male, and there's two of them. Okay? The boys, the sons in your womb, will become two nations. That shouldn't be like the most surprising, given that you have Abraham in the family, the story of Isaac, that these two nations, but that you have two children inside you. It is interesting to me that it says, this is my plug for that. Even though I have many friends who have had abortions and really struggled with it, and I am as compassionate with that as I am of any of my sins and anything that any of us have ever done. I mean, God is a God. He's so big, and does not want anything to keep us from following after him. But I mean, we haven't chosen life in so many ways. But in that one thing that he does say, these are two sons in your womb, and not just two, something that's gonna, that doesn't matter now. He said, these are two sons. And then he even tells their destiny. The two will become two nations. From the very beginning, he says, the two nations will be rivals. So these two sons, they're going to rival each other. One nation will be stronger than the other. Okay, immediately, as a mom, what do you feel? Sad. Exactly, I'm glad you would say that. Yeah, if we don't get real with that, we're missing the story, right? And what do we want to tell God? Why would you not be fair? Isn't that what comes up? Lord, that's not right. They haven't done anything. And how can a God say that's going to happen? Unless there's a God that knows these things. So there's going to be two different views here. And some is going to be the foreknowledge of what they would choose. And then that is what God then predestines to happen. The other is that God is predestined them before they've ever known anything, that this is going to be for his story, for the glory of his name. So either one, we must bow our knee to this God, whichever one. But I believe that God has used this issue to cause division. And what we need to do, I think the first thing before we let it cause division is to say, Lord, look at my heart, and have I bowed to your will? However we got here, I want to bow to your will. I want your kingdom to come. I want your will to be done. And I want to believe that you are so immense in this story that you are able, and you promised you would, work everything together for my good, because I love you. Does that include our sin? Absolutely. If it didn't, we'd have no hope, right? If this was a promise just to those who have not really messed up, then we need to go, we need to mark that one out in our Bible. But it says he causes all things to work together for good. So it's all the hurt, all the pain, all the missteps, all the confusion, all the things that we don't understand, that we come to the Lord and we say, I don't know all that you are, but I know what you've told me to do. And if I will stay in my lane and say, you are God alone, and you will do what you will do. But I don't want to spend all my time in your lane saying, I don't think you're supposed to be doing that. It doesn't look good to me. It doesn't look fair to me. And we miss completely what God has asked us to do, which is to love him, to love our neighbor, and that we would care for people, that we would go and tell others, that we would be about his business. Well, we're about his business, all right. We're in his line saying, I don't like the way you're doing this. And the Lord, I think he would say, I'm not just real fond of everything you're doing in your lane either, so that we would be able to say, Lord, I want to be in relationship with you. I want to be able to talk about these things and to say, whoever you are is who I want to know who you are. What kind of God allows this story? And whoever you are, that's who I want to bow to. You are good. You are just. And where it doesn't seem like you are, I can guarantee you, according to the scriptures, by this authority, it is our lack of having all the information. I believe that when we know all the facts, that we will then say, Lord, you've done this better than I could have ever imagined. That nothing, I couldn't begin to understand what you have done, that it is so good. Okay, so here we are. So he says these two are going to be like this. So verse 24, when the time came to give birth, Rebekah discovered that she did indeed have twins. Here's one. There's another one coming. Yes, there is. And so you have twins. The first one was very red at birth and covered with thick hair like a fur coat. So, what in the world? Okay, so this is another story that we could just spend a lot of time, but we're not going to do that. So they called him Esau, and it had to do with the reference to this hair. That's the name they gave him. He's the one with the hair, Esau, which is really interesting in the end. We're not going to look at it today, but this hair is what ends up being something that the father can tell that that's him. Remember, he's going to give this blessing, and he has these hairy arms. Okay, so then the other twin was born with his hand grasping Esau's heel. Okay, so you have this child that is born, and the second child that is they're already going to rival each other. The one is holding on, grasping to his heel of this first child that was born. So they named him Jacob. And Jacob is the word is it means like supplanter. It means one who is kind of grabbing the other to pull it back. It has the connotation of deception in it. And so you have these two guys, these twins, I'm sorry, and you have, and they are, we know some of the prophecy about them. And so you have these twins, okay? So then you have Genesis 25:7. Abraham lived for 170 years. He died, and they buried him in that cave, okay? So verse 27. As the boys grew up, are y'all with me on the page, top of page 36? Okay. As the boys grew up, Esau, if you just think of him as being like animal-like hair, you know what I mean? Just like if you can make that connection. He loves to be outdoors. He's a hunter. He loves to, he's like, if you will, a man's man. Okay, so Esau became a skillful hunter. He was an outdoorsman, but Jacob had a quiet temperament, preferring to stay at home. And this right here, this means it's just more of a, he was quiet in spirit as well. It wasn't that he didn't like to be outdoors. It's just like this was where his interest was. Isaac loved Esau. This is the father. He loves this boy who's going to go out and do all the hunting and all those things, okay? Because he enjoyed eating the wild game Esau brought home. It's like, you have done a great job. I'm loving this. How did you kill this animal? Let's eat, okay? And so he says, but Rebekah loved Jacob. Jacob, you get the idea, is the one that's home kind of cooking with her more. Their hearts are more knit together. So you have this father, son, mother, son, okay, of these two nations. One day when Jacob was cooking some stew, Esau arrived home from the wilderness. He's exhausted and hungry. And I don't know but I can tell y'all of the times in my life that I look back and think, how did I misstep like that? Some of the time, I can tell it was because I was exhausted. It was because I was needing to, I was not at my strength, which is so interesting that you have Jesus in the wilderness, and he is tired and definitely hungry. And that's where Satan shows up to tempt him. So I tell you that just so we can all, when we're in those places, it's like I'm so discouraged, I'm hungry, I'm just so tired. At those times that we would realize that I am a sitting duck, if you will. I am a prime candidate for Satan to come in now and say, there's a better way. I can restore you, that you don't have to get to this point of depletion. But that we would be able to say, no, this is a time when I need to rest and eat. And that, Lord, would you protect my heart in these things, okay? So Esau said to Jacob, okay, now, he says, I am starved. Can you see him coming in? Big boots. Don't you hear him? I'm starved. And here he is with this soup. It smells so good. And he says, give me some of that red stew. This is how Esau got his other name, Edom, which means red. He's going to be it's the combination of this red hair, and it's also this red soup, and you have this red, and it means Edom. The Edomites, those people, that nation, are going to come from him. All right, Jacob replied, but trade me your rights as the firstborn son. Now, this is crazy. This is him grabbing his heel. Okay, you know what I mean by that? This is a grown-up version of him grabbing his heel. He's saying, I have something you want? Give me your birthright. And so the birthright said that you get a double portion of the inheritance. Okay, so he is in line. He was born first, so he is going to be in the line. Esau is in the line to get a double portion, and he also will become the head of the clan. So it would be Abraham, Isaac, Esau. You see, of the covenant. That's how the blessing was passed down. It came through the firstborn. It was the birthright. And so once again, he's not able to, for whatever reason, and it says that, that God has told of this, but he says to him, okay, fine. Because he realized he's looking at the immediate gratification rather than the larger thing. And we look at that a lot. We see that the man in the Bible, the New Testament, the parable, he sees this pearl of great price, and he goes and sells everything, and he does it because he knows there's greater treasure. So what we need to be praying is, Lord, show me the greater treasure in this life. He says, you can gain it all. The scriptures say you can have it all. You can have everything this life gives you. And what does it gain you in the end if you don't have Christ? These are passing pleasures. And Christ is enduring. And he is there to meet us and to greet us and for us to see the scars in his hand for which he died for us. The treasure is there. He wants to come and live with us. But we're like, no. You hear people say, Sunday is the only day I have to sleep in. I'm not going to give my life to Christ because I need that day. And you're like, the end result is, but you're going to lose all your days. It's like whatever we hold on to, it will absolutely crumble. It's a castle made of sand. And Christ wants us to run toward him, this enduring one, and that has given it a way for us to follow him and to be loved by him. And it is the greatest treasure that we will ever receive in this life, to be able to come to him. And so we do not want to miss him. And the way we can do that is to absolutely just talk to him about it. I want you to be my treasure. Please give me eyes to see and not let me be like this story. So he says, 32, look at he says, okay, 31, all right, trade me your right as the firstborn son. Look, I'm dying of starvation. What good is my birthright to me now? It's like, I'm going to sit here and die anyway. So I wouldn't get the birthright. I wouldn't get that birthright anyway. Sure. I'd love a bowl of stew, please. And so from what I can read, from one of the commentaries, said that the birthright could not be passed down. It couldn't just be a verbal thing, but it had to be it had to be agreed on by both people and shared by a meal. And so this because of this stew, they did have a meal, and it was agreed on by both. So it's like, but it was so foolish And we look at this and think, don't be foolish like that. And I think he would say to us, don't be foolish like that. I think he would say to me, don't be foolish. Don't go after the things of this world that cannot gratify you in the end. Don't walk away from the things because you're disappointed. Don't because you're hungry, because you've already figured out what God's going to do and it's not going to go well for you. That we would not walk away from those things. 33, but Jacob said, first you must swear that your birthright is mine. But aren't you mad at him? I'm mad at him. It's like, he just wants some stew. Give him some stew. But he's conniving. He's wanting that birthright. And this is who God is going to give it to? That's a problem, right? It's like, God, why would you do that? And he says, because I'm God. And then we want to say, okay, because you told me over and over and over that you were just. You know things we don't know. It even in the New Testament, it says that Esau was godless. It's like, oh, well, okay, that changes a little. And God is saying, oh yeah, I could tell you a whole lot of things that would change a whole lot of things, but you just don't have all that information. And so he says that he was godless and he was a deceiver. And so God took that from him and gave it to the younger, which he said the older will serve the younger. And that's how this takes place with this birthright. So Esau swore an oath, therefore selling all his rights as the firstborn to his brother Jacob. Then Jacob gave Esau some bread and lentil stew. Esau ate the meal, then got up and he left. He showed contempt for his rights of the firstborn, like he didn't treasure the things that God had prepared for him. He did not treasure that at all. Instead, he wanted his satisfaction to be complete. Okay, so we're going to stop there today. And you can look at these scriptures. One thing is, look on the bottom of page 3. Hebrews picks up this story. It's in the chapter of all the faith of all the people. And it says, work at living in peace with everyone. It doesn't say you have to have peace with everyone. It says you do your part in living in peace with everyone. You can't do somebody else's part. You can do your part. Work at living a holy life. You're not going to do everything just right. But let this bear a goal. Holy means to be set apart from this world and holding on to Christ. For those who are not holy will not see the Lord. For those who do not have Christ in us, making us holy, we will not see the Lord. Look after each other so that none of you fails to receive the grace of God. What a great thing. This is better than selling Girl Scout cookies in your neighborhood. This is like we have something to say, see to it, that there's great grace for you. There's great grace for you. Watch out that no poisonous root of bitterness grows up to trouble you. Where's that bitterness going to come from? Because we didn't get our way. I mean, we got hurt. And I'm not saying that you were even in the wrong, but no matter where we are, we can become so bitter. Like, why is their life so much better? Why is it like this? I can't serve this God that's unjust. And I think his huge booming voice should come out. I am just. I am working for a goal that is not yours. Our goal is that everything's fair, everything looks good, and we get through this life and without any questions. And God is saying, no, my goal is that you know me, and I'm going to go after whatever it takes that you know me in the full power of who I am. He says, no root of bitterness grows up to trouble you, corrupting many. Verse 16, make sure that no one is immoral or godless. Like who? Esau. Immoral, godless. And he says, like Esau, who traded his birthright as the firstborn son for a single meal. You know that afterward, when he wanted his father's blessings, he was rejected. He's saying, we're going to live all this world. We're going to live like we want to. We're going to be godless, immoral. And at the end, we're going to say, come on, God, give me heaven. And it's not going to be there. It's because it was all, even that is a symbol of we're living for ourselves. Come on, God, give me, I can do what I want, and you give me what I want at the end. And God is saying, this is not our story, this is his story. And so he says he was rejected. It was too late for repentance. Even though he begged with bitter tears, he wanted that blessing. He just didn't want to live in the relationship that God had sent for him. So it's very powerful that we would look at our lives and be very honest with ourselves. Am I short-serving, short-sheeting, if you will, our lives? Are we living to the full boundaries that God has called us to, even though there's pain and there's sorrow in the middle of that? That as Isaac prayed for Rebekah to have these children, then they have these children, and then you have this lineage as the patriarchs of Abraham, and then you have Isaac, and now you're going to have this boy Jacob, the younger serving the older, who is going to carry out. He's going to be the one that's going to struggle with God. He's going to limp. Isn't that interesting? He's holding on to his brother's heel, and he goes through life like this. I mean, it happens, right? It happens, and God is we just need to settle in our hearts that God is good, that He knows what He's doing, and that we would fall on our faces and worship this God. Okay, so let's